Chameleons, they change color depending on the surface that they're on. And so they can blend with the environment that suits them. And narcissists, they do something similar with their personality, their persona, the way they come across, which is they create this specific persona for each person. They adopt certain personality traits, they adopt certain mannerisms that they think is most likely to impress the person they're trying to impress. It's all about appealing to that person, creating a connection with that person, even if it means they're pretending to be something they're not. But of course, narcissists don't just start targeting somebody and pretending they're something they're not. Usually they would have known who that person was for some time. Usually they would have had the opportunity to observe the person, monitor the person, see what makes them tick, see what might appeal to them. And that gives the narcissist the information they need, the ammunition to adopt a suitable persona. And then narcissists, they very quickly, this persona takes a life of its own. And it's almost like they believe that's the real them. It's kind of like if you think about Hollywood and these actors, how you have to go into character, you have to stay in character. And the best actors of Hollywood are the ones who actually believe. They can really make themselves believe that they are the person they're trying to pretend they are, because it comes off more authentic. And I mean, if you think about it, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Hollywood actors are narcissists or cluster Bs. I know lots of them are. It kind of goes with what the industry's about, kind of the attention and the ability to be something. Of course, not all of them are, but I wouldn't be surprised if a number of them are. But there is this one actor that kind of stands out to me. I think the guy's name in real life is Sacha Baron Cohen, where he kind of spent much of his life adopting one character and kind of would spend years living that character as if it was really him. I think in the early 2000s, he adopted the character Ali G, and then later on Borat. So if you've heard of Borat, it's a very popular character. You'll know who I'm talking about. And he's adopted other characters throughout. But he really kind of lives it. He breathes and bleeds that persona. And it comes across very convincing, because when he goes out in the world and he starts filming his kind of videos and scenes where people don't know they're being filmed, he's pretending he's something he's not. He really does fool people. So the character really does take a life of its own. And sometimes I wonder, how can that actor, like, if you're living 4 years being a certain character on your day-to-day, you dress and talk like that person, how do you ever snap out of it? But anyway, narcissists, when they create this persona, this character, it does take a life of its own. Because narcissists know that they can more convincingly ensnare a potential supply if they can believe they are that person. But once they've ensnared the supply, once they've gotten the person hooked on them, trauma bonded to them, narcissists then morph into this almost omnipotent. I never know how to say that word, but it's almost like they're this deity, this great thing, and they want to get their partner, their supply, whoever, their significant other, to really look up to them, to almost like worship them. And that's why they like devaluing people. It helps to uplift them into this space of being a deity, like a demigod. And narcissists then believe they are this great demigod person. And the reason they keep people around, and the reason why they instinctually need to trauma bond people, is because A, they need to be able to devalue somebody to make them feel good about themselves, and B, they don't want that person to leave. Otherwise, they lose their springing board to uplift them. So the trauma bond means that the person who's being abused is likely to stick around and not leave. So the narcissist kind of lives this persona. But all good things come to an end. Always. Okay, maybe not always. That's a bit pessimistic. Maybe some good things don't come to an end. But just for the argument's sake, let's assume all good things come to an end. And what if that person leaves the narcissist? What if that person just doesn't stick around? Narcissists, they're at an extreme loss because they're living the life of a personality that's not really them, but that personality can only exist if their significant other sticks around, because it's almost like, whether or not narcissists realize it, that persona they created was like the aftermath, a manifestation of how they want to be, but they need their significant other, their supply, to help that come reality. But once their supply isn't around to support that illusion, to support that false persona, everything falls apart and just crumbles. And then narcissists are at a loss because they can't accept that they're not that grand figure that they've been trying to convince themselves they are. But also they don't have people around to help uplift them. So narcissists go into this kind of dangerous territory where they're at risk of having to face who they really are, which is the thing that hurts them more than anything. And that's why they're always running from themselves. And that's why they always need good supply. Because the good supply helps them run for themselves. Because the good supply helps sustain this false illusion that could never sustain itself on its own. So if you're with a narcissist and you suddenly kind of step away from the relationship, you do your thing, right? They're at an extreme loss. Unless, of course, they have an equally potent supply that was as good as you once were. But, I mean, they need somebody really good to keep that up. Not many people can do that, can play that role. But if you catch them by surprise, if you step away when they're not ready, I mean, it's almost a thing of beauty in the most tragic way that word can be interpreted. This kind of sense of loss that they come at. And they're like between that rock and a hard place where they can't descend and face who they really are, but they also don't have the pillars of support to keep them up where they must be. And then they try to bridge that gap by finding somebody, a pillar, to keep them up when they're about to collapse. It's wonderful, terrifying. I don't know what describes it best. It's a powerful thing, though. Thank you for watching.